Yeah, how to hold space for others, how to be a supportive ally. I also want to understand what allyship is at its core from people who are really, who are doing this work at like a deeper level. Um, and um, and so I think
You ready?
that's what brings me here. Um, Answer a question from the Actually Curious Happy Hour edition. Okay, so that's my next task.
Yep. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. When you visit a new city, you always make sure to blank.
Oh, good question. When I visit a new city, I always make sure to eat as much of the local food as possible.
Yep. Snaps to that. I'd say
Yeah,
that.
thanks.
How many? Can we get some head nods on that one across the room? All right. So feel free to throw in your answers in the chat if you want to just like kind of chime in on it. But let's get a new volunteer. Same prompt. Share your name. What brings you here, Ryan? You want to go?
Sure. So I'm Ryan Haskins. I am in Jersey after moving about an hour south out of New York City recently this summer. And what brings me here? Obviously our host brings me here on some level, but also I have a deep appreciation for just being in environments where everyone has a voice. I just think it leads to, I've been really lucky to be places where your colleagues feel more like family than just colleagues. So I always value the opportunity to be better at that and to contribute to those types of environments. So that's why I'm here, and now I'm ready to answer your question.
Right. Here we go. The perfect crime is never solved. What crime would you totally commit if you knew you'd never get caught?
Is it wrong for me to say like stuffing the ballot boxes so that we make sure that we get rid of this current guy?
I vote for that.
Here.
Do that.
Save space. Save space on that one.
100%.
I feel accomplished now. I think I should probably leave the meeting after that response. So,
Brian, I think that's secretly, well, that might be actually the main mission of this call. So let's just figure out how to do that in legal ways. All right, let's see if we can get one or two more before we kick it off.
Hey, man.
Oh, go ahead.
Ooh, okay. Jamal, and then Yana,
Yeah, go.
and then we'll go into the session.
All right, cool. Hi, everybody. My name is Jamal Orr. What brings me here, I actually had a chance to meet Michael at an event, but personally just always looking for new tools and new techniques for how to deal with empathy. Like I had a chance to learn about the cards, and I was like, oh, this would be a great like icebreakers, for just small meetings, but very interested in seeing more of the technique behind it. And yeah, happy to meet everybody. Now I have to answer a question.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
You wanna tell me when to stop?
The third one, please.
The third one. Okay, yeah. That's very specific, sir.
Why not?
All right, here we go. All right, you picked it. Mm-hmm. Who was your biggest childhood crush? Where are they now?
Oh my gosh. Biggest childhood crush. Ooh. That would have to involve television, right? Ooh. Geez, let me not stall. I'm trying to really go through.
Is that many?
Sade. I have no idea. I have no clue where she is.
You said Sade?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh yeah.
I like that. That seems like that was a mature crush for you, young man.
A lot of contemporary music when I was a kid.
Amazing. All right. So last one, Liana. We have time.
All right. I'm Liana. I am in New York City. I hope it's not too loud. I'm sitting out on my balcony right now. I'm like I've just moved here, so I'm like trying to take advantage of the outdoor space as much as possible. And I used to actually curious cards a lot in my events as well, and I was just really interested in delving deeper into more of Michael's work on empathy, and then also connecting with other like-minded individuals in the community organization space. So yeah, that's why I'm here. Love to connect to other humans.
Welcome, welcome. And now it's your turn.
Stop.
Okay. There we go. What do you keep on hand in your fridge without fail?
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Always. Just had some.
And what do you eat that with? It's just straight up peanut butter.
Straight up peanut butter banana every day. We got peanut butter dipped chocolate in the peanut butter jar. Oh yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Liana. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Jamal. And who led off? Preetha. Thank you, Preetha, for helping us kick off the session today. I'm Michael Tennant. I'm the founder and CEO of Curiosity Lab. Curiosity Lab is a concept agency that creates products, content, and experiences that change important narratives. Our first product is Actually Curious, which you all have some experience with. And we have some, exciting news coming out down the line about how we're using the platform that this game has helped create to bring people together and to combine commerce with activism. Welcome to the first ever Allyship workshop. This is actually the second session since we had our first one last night, which was amazing. We've created this program in partnership with Birdie, which is a new dating app that connects people based on personality compatibility instead of pictures, and promotes self-awareness and deep understanding, which are values that connected really deeply with our values. The reason why we found each other on the internet. And we're just so grateful that they really supported this initiative, Empathy 2020, which is a series of free events that we'll be hosting throughout the month of October. We did our first event this past Sunday called an empathy workout alongside co-host Megan Lee Joy, who you'll meet today. And each of these missions are about bringing people together, helping strengthen the tools of empathy as we lead into this contentious election season. All of these events are free, but donations are being are recommended, and everyone who's here on this call has already been so gracious as to donate to Transparent and Black and their mission to create healing spaces for Black communities, which again, you'll see this as a theme. We found each other on the internet because we're out there living our passions and living and putting our powers towards the work that we believe in. So when we talk about this idea of strengthening empathy muscles, what that's about is really listening to your learning how to listen with curiosity versus fear, learning how to strengthen your ability to find bias within yourself, and how to get better at allowing people to find their own biases on their own gently. But this allyship workshop is really an embodiment of this idea that we can achieve these goals together. And I'd like to take a moment to introduce our two partners, Juliet from Birdie. Juliet, you there?
Yes, I'm there. Well,
Okay.
thank you, Mike. Oh, do you want to ask me a icebreaker
Yeah,
question?
so here's what I got for you to introduce you to the community. I want to lead off with a question for you, and then I would also love if you would just kind of share a bit about your view on allyship and what's brought you to this partnership.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so the question I have for you is, have you heard of the 5 official love languages?
Yes, of course.
What are yours, and how do you know? And Julia didn't know she was going to get this question, so she's on the hot seat just like everyone else.
Okay, so actually it's a pretty easy question for me because it's very visible in my personality. So my love language is words of affirmation, and I love to tell people that they are great. I love to hear that I am great. And the problem with that is that if I don't hear that, I feel that I'm not great. So like saying 0 is equal like you're not good at all. So I mean that's something I've been working with. That's also why I mean my personality made me like launch Birdie, which is the dating app you were talking about personality types and how to find someone that is suited to like who you are and who will bring you exactly what you are based on your personality, because we are also different, that we all don't need the same things. And yeah, like for when we met you, I was really happy to see that, you know, in the world there are many people who are working on the same, like towards the same goal of spreading emotional connection, like really respecting people for who they are and really promoting self-awareness and all. So I mean, it was just obvious that we would partner with you for these events. And again, congratulations for organizing that and all the work that is behind it. So, and thank you for bringing us into those events.
Thank you, Juliet. Really well done. You handled that question quite well. I would love to also bring our esteemed colleague from Transparent and Black to the stage to tell us a bit about her organization, the organization she's representing, and just her perspective on bringing different allies together for the cause of Black healing.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I've got my video off. It's a bit of a wild morning, but my name is Fatu. I am the brand manager at Transparent and Black. And Transparent and Black is really a wellness collective that's working to shatter unconventional stigmas surrounding what it means to be well for Black people. And the collective was born out of just a discussion about what does it mean to build a safe space for Black people to have access to communal healing across the African diaspora. Just because there's so much to explore within intergenerational trauma, lack of access to mental health and wellness resources, and then just I think the lack of representation in these spaces. We hold that Black people are a very traumatized race, and where we should take up space in wellness and seek healing, we don't really see ourselves, or we don't really have many safe spaces to do that. So our work is really centered around actively seeking healing and being able to cultivate spaces that allow us to reconstruct that understanding of just our community and ourselves. And specifically when we're talking about empathy and when we're talking about allyship, what we're doing and why I think conversations like this are so important is because people hear I think for Black people, for a specific group of people, and they think, all right, well, that's that jam, doesn't really, doesn't really consider me. So that's not my space to occupy. And while again, we do prioritize Black people in their healing, you know, we see this as something that's a collective effort that everyone has a role in just contributing to. So while the space might not be, you know, for everyone, I think everyone can recognize the need for this space and can contribute to it, you know, whether it be through amplifying messaging of what we're doing or through supporting our crowdfunding initiative that we're currently on this journey of. Like, there are different ways, I think, to support a space without necessarily being directly affected by the space. So that's something that we're trying to really get people to see when it comes to allyship and showing up for each other. And thank you, Michael, for having us. Thank you for including us in this great initiative. We're really excited to be a part. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Fatu. Thank you for sharing that. You know, we're blown away by the initiative that Transparent and Black is a part of. For us, mental health and empathy are two very big areas for what we use the Actually Curious platform for. Those who know my story intimately know that in 2019, I lost two of my older brothers. And through that work, I kind of started to dive really deep into generational trauma, how that affects the body, how that affects physical health. And so when I was able to learn about Transparent and Black and to have the opportunity to bring the Actually Curious platform to help their goals, it connected immediately around what allyship sort of means to me, which is being able to identify those like values, see opportunities where your effort, your platform, your dollars, your whatever it is that is your superpower that you can bring to the table, and then kind of, you know, getting out of the way of progress, just making the pieces come together. So the reason you've all been invited here is because you share a value, you share a commitment to a more just and creating a more just and empathetic world. And you all have platforms and superpowers that you can be putting to use right now and beyond. And you know, for our purposes here, it's not to tell you what those are. Our goal is to help strengthen your abilities to find that in yourself, to find like-minded collaborators out here in the world, and to be more in flow with your feelings, your heart, and your emotions. So we came together with this pledge. You know, take some of the words that resonate with you and what doesn't. But the spirit of this is to give us a rallying call and also give us permission to share your information with this community of allies, this family. And the pledge, I'll just read it for ceremony's sake. I pledge to do the work to get closer to myself, my values, background, and beliefs, so that I know my biases and strengthen my ability to see them in others. I use empathy to guide them to recognize these biases on their own. And I use this awareness to guide me into the company of like-minded and values-aligned individuals and organizations. And together, we use our superpowers to bring about the world we want to see, a just and empathetic world. This I pledge. So that should have been somewhere in the user flow as you were signing up for this event. But if you haven't, we've shared it in the chat. If you just fill out that survey, then we'll just afterwards, when we field for responses on the event, so we can improve on them going forward. We'll also share like a spreadsheet with the contacts, so you all can get in contact with one another, because the spirit of this for us was, let's tell people what this is about. Let's come to it with a spirit of abundance. Let's make this all open source, just like the tools that we are like creating within Actually Curious and evolving. and allow the magic to happen. So thank you all for coming here. So the gift that we'll offer to you all is just a kind of snapshot into how you can think about empathy, how you can start down this journey of strengthening your empathy muscles and becoming an ambassador in your own community, through this idea of learning and strengthening empathy leadership skills. And so what that entails is more or less 4 areas. And usually we talk about 3, but we added this 4th for the context that we have here. So the first is recognizing bias in yourself, which gives you the ability to see your own judgment and recognize when other people are exhibiting bias, and to become more skilled at gently guiding them to seeing them at themselves in themselves. Because frankly, I think that was actually the original thesis around this game. Actually Curious was how can we allow people who are privileged to find their privilege. We all have our privileges in certain ways, but to find it on their own and start to introduce the bravery of letting that bias down. That one building block of that is learning how to listen with curiosity versus fear. And this is a kind of a foundational premise that because we as humans need to learn how to protect ourselves, part of that is protecting our egos. We develop a certain level of judgment, some more than others. And the more that we can be willing to listen, to put down our judgment, listen with curiosity, is the stronger we'll get at finding bias. Creating safe spaces. And this is the idea that no matter what room we come into, there are going to be power dynamics at play. And the better you are at having this level of awareness and this empathy, and to be able to get outside of yourself, think about the dynamics that are at play, think about where the safety of the space might be threatened, not necessarily even by yourself, but by other people in the room, and how you, through your skills and your leadership, can return the safety back to the space. And then finally, thoughtful partnership development, which I had to throw this in a meeting about allyship, but this has more or less been my career for the last 15 years before even diving into the idea of allyship. And what this really is at a simplistic level is doing the work ahead of time to think about what's meaningful to the person on the other side of the table, but then also thinking about what's meaningful for you and having some hypotheses about where that overlap is, where that win-win happens. And the more you can actually apply empathy to the practice of partnership development, is the faster you can go from where values align to where making an exponential effect, because we're combining our efforts and our strengths here. I see some head nods out there in the audience on partnership development family. All right, so we're going to get through this real quick, and then we're going to dive into the game. But we've been really blessed to go from developing partnerships to creating a game that signals our values of building community, to now actually having a fairly mature workshop model. And the things that we teach in them are, at its core, the 5 core emotions, which are joy, fear, anger, shame, and sadness. And I'm going to pause and say that you all should make note of this, because I'm going to ask you to bring this back later on. So if you have like a little notepad, or if you just have like a snapshot memory, joy, fear, anger, sadness, and shame are the 5 core emotions. And the way you can sort of think about empathy is there are three types of empathy. There's cognitive empathy, which is understanding those 5 emotions on a intellectual level. There's somatic or emotional empathy, which is your natural, we all have this, but your natural ability to actually feel the emotions someone else might be feeling. Like we've all kind of been in a room where before anyone even opens their mouth, you can feel the tension kind of ripping through your body. That's your natural ability. And the more you actually think about what of those 5 emotions you might be feeling and why, is the more you strengthen your somatic. And then affective is the ability to use both when it makes the most sense for you. And as you strengthen this ability of understanding cognitive somatic empathy, applying it to your version of affective, you'll see that it applies to how you love yourself, how you listen to your body and what your body might be telling you that that you haven't quite connected to within those 5 emotions, how you then listen to the different responses of the people closest to you, how you can apply that to leading your team, negotiating, building community, and ultimately attracting a network towards you that really is aligned with your core from an emotional place. So with that was the class part. Now we're gonna slow down a little bit. I'm gonna invite my ally and co-host for the remaining empathy workshops or empathy workouts on Sundays, Megan Lee Joy, to help us ground a bit before we go into the curiosity workshop game.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I am going to invite you to get comfy if you're not already comfy, and then to close your eyes, please. And so I'd like you to take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it at the top and exhale with a sigh. I like to wiggle my body when I'm in there. Let's do one more deep breath through the nose. And sigh it out. And with your eyes still closed, I want you to continue this deep, nourishing breath that is bringing life to your body, that is oxygenating your blood and awakening that beautiful brain of yours. And I want you to feel into the entirety of your body. I want you to notice how your hips are feeling and relax. From the top of your head down to your feet, just release and feel into this idea that it's not about what we do, but what we feel. And coming out of your body into this space, I want you to feel that we are among allies, that you are creating family. We are building family that supports one another into changing your world, into changing this world, and feel that in your bones. Feel it in your muscles. Continuing to take deep breaths into the space around your heart, around your hips. Visualize the space between your eyes and the back of your head. And breathe in love into those spaces. Breathe in acceptance. And breathe in compassion. Loving yourself with each breath, for we cannot love others until we learn to love ourselves. And with a big hug, give yourselves a big hug right now in this moment with a big smile on your face. And take a final deep breath in. And release with a smile. And you can slowly open your eyes and see everyone hug each other. Beautiful. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Megan. Oh man, when Megan and I connected again, just through the internet, just through content, and then when I learned that Megan had confidence and experience producing these events, we just decided to give it a try together. And the more we experiment with these, and we get your blessings of these grounding experiences, I just like know how right the combo is. So I'd like to invite everybody as we move into the gameplay section to just really stay present in your body as much as you can. And we introduced those 5 emotions: joy, fear, anger, sadness, and shame. As we go into the game, this is almost like a level 2 gameplay style of Actually Curious. When we pull the question, I'd love for you to just think about if any of those 5 emotions come up for you. And then I'm just gonna ask, as a community, we're gonna take like 5 minutes and discuss each question. Just share your answer, share any emotional responses that the question gives you, and just use this as an opportunity to get to know each other from afar. Allies. So without further ado, y'all ready? Got a baseline here of where you're at, so you can see what the question does for you. All right, let's go. What were the holidays like for you growing up?
I'll jump into this one real fast.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, goodness, so large. My mother has 4 sisters, and so we would all get together at my grandfather's house in this tiny little town in Central California. And we were one of the only families that left the tiny town, thank baby Jesus. So I would have a 6-hour drive on my birthday, which is 2 days before Christmas, to see the rest of my family. And I had a birthday day right before the Christmas Eve day, which was an exorbitant display of consumerism that thankfully we've reeled so far back. 4 sisters, they all had like at least 2 children. It was great. Like Christmas took hours. It was disgusting. Of course, as a kid, I absolutely loved it. The piles of presents were larger than my body. Yeah, it felt super cliche, and my grandma like always made everyone food. That's how she loved people. And so it was just, little 50s, super overly nice grandma, grandpa, and just like a huge family just kind of hanging out. Yeah, was never really super emotionally woke, but was always very like pleasant. So those were my, at least, Christmas holidays.
I'll jump in if
Yeah.
so
Welcome, Deborah.
hi everyone.
Mhm.
I'm Jewish, so we didn't celebrate Christmas, and but in terms of the Jewish holidays, they were my parents are religious, so they sort of always came from that perspective. But I did feel that emotion of joy right away when you said that, because it was always family time. My dad worked a lot, and so those times, those holidays, and even every weekend we did Shabbat, and that was the time that I really had with my dad. And there's 4 kids in my family, so it was always big. And then with my extended family, if it was one of those holidays, it was really big. But with the extended family, I always felt like my family didn't fully fit in with the larger family, because on my mom's side, we were not religious enough, and on my dad's side, we were too religious. So we were always right in the middle, and I never felt like that connection with my cousins and, you know, my larger family until I was older, because we always were sort of like the black sheep on either side. But yeah, I mean, I would say a lot of joy and food for sure. That's always a huge part of it. But, you know, as a kid, I was always sad that, you know, we didn't get a million presents on Christmas. And, you know, we did Hanukkah and we got some presents. But now, you know, as a kid, I was sad about it, but now, or jealous, I would say, not sad. I was jealous from what I would see on TV and stuff. I was like, why don't we have a mountain of presents like you just described? But now I'm happy, you know, that wasn't what the holiday was for us. And it was more about just being together. And then there was that religious side of it, which, you know, as a kid, I was okay with, but now, you know, is not really my thing. But I've learned kind of, you know, when I'm with my family now, to still be able to enjoy being with them and celebrating in my own way while they do the religious thing, and I can, you know, observe and let them do that, and not fully take part in it. But it took a long time to get to that point. And, you know, growing up, you just kind of do what your parents, or I was one of those kids that did what my parents told me to do. So yeah, but I would say mostly joy with a little bit of jealousy of, you know, the non-Jews.
Thank you for going there. I can definitely relate to both of you all, and I think that's one of the reasons we loved this question when we originally created the game so much, is there is that mix, and it's very tied to consumerism. But it's like one of these questions that really brings a range of emotions. So we're gonna take it up a level, all right? And some of y'all who haven't spoken yet, I'm looking for some contributions. I see the smiles, little smiles. Y'all know who you are. All right. So same exercise. The same exercise. Think about the emotions as we go in. Next level. What does activism mean to you? Do you consider yourself an activist? Yeah, you got away with the easy one, so you can come back later on.
Can I jump in on this, even though I kicked off in the beginning?
Yeah, of course.
This is totally something that I struggle with, actually, because I think, at least in my experience, the meaning of what activism is has changed a lot as I've grown. And so, fun fact, Michael and I actually met in college. And Mike, I don't know if you remember, there was a lot of, like, you know, what I would put air quotes around, like, activism events, like Drop Beats Not Bombs, and this sort of, like, you know, performative, like, I'm not going to do this because, you know, people, there's like, I'm not going to buy this brand because of, like, child labor in Africa. But it never quite felt like, you know, it was sort of this college level activism that, like, at the time was, like, meaningful, and it was young people making a statement. But seeing what that was where we went to school, which was like this very kind of isolated, probably predominantly white liberal arts college, versus what we're seeing now with Black Lives Matter, and like do you know what I mean? Like, the voice is kind of coming out, and it's like people are really, you know, people are really like taking action. And it's not really my place to judge what activism is on the whole, but what it means to me, I think, looking at the system that we're in now with Donald Trump as president, and where we are with Black Lives Matter, where we are with, the LGBTQ plus movement and all these things, I think I'm coming to a place where activism is almost more getting into the system and figuring out how to change things from within. And how do how does one understand what's happening? When I see people writing letters to others about making sure they vote, when I see, young people, and I'm like older, I'm 36, so I'm no longer like in the young people category, I think, maybe I am. But when I see, like young people in their 20s, like getting out there and like volunteering to help with ballot boxes or with campaigns, like I think that to me is what I consider activism. And as for, do I consider myself an activist? I think I've recently absorbed this new sort of idea of like, I don't know if this entirely makes sense. I think this idea of activism to me, of like getting in the system and how do you change it from within, is something that I've thought a lot about, and something that I actually went into the corporate sector for, because I wanted to understand like how businesses work and how do you change from within. But that doesn't always work out. So I'd like to consider myself an activist, but I don't think I've been especially perfectly effective at it. And that's something that I'd like to learn more about how to do, because I think we can all agree that this world needs, some people out there to change it.
Totally. Yeah, Preeta, your share is very like similar on the spectrum of how I view myself, because obviously kind of studying activism or being exposed to it in culture, seeing what people truly on the front lines today, I have a hard time considering myself an activist. But I also know that the reason why why I went out, left corporate America, went into sort of creating a product, make a lot of the decisions that I make, is because I want my work to have an active effect on society around me. So, I think I'm still, not to paraphrase you or to overly, but I think I'm similarly.
It's a good distillation.
Yeah. Similarly, hold myself to a higher bar, but I want to honor the work that you're doing and the ambitions that you have. And that's part of this workshop, is that we all have superpowers, and as long as we know where our intentions are headed, then we all have the power to increase in how we wield. So I would love to hear someone else's reaction on this question. I think this was such a perfect one for an allyship workshop. So
I can jump in. I have a weird relationship with the word activism, or activists. I think about the root of the word being active. I feel like being active is to be almost ahead of the curve. I feel like we have a lot of like reactivists, which are people who are like reacting to something and then kind of fall off when the thing dies down. But I think activists is like always on. I feel like they are ahead and are doing the work even when there's not a news headline. And that's kind of how I look at a distinction, like the people who are constantly out there, constantly like, pushing things forward and trying to get ahead of the issue, I consider activists. And everyone else, like I said before, I consider more reactivists.
So I kind of agree with what Preeta said. It's about getting into the system. But I think when we look at young adults, even teenagers who are getting out here and being activists, I think it's more about being an agent and an advocate for change, which can give you the activist title, if you so will, but I'm also not totally into titles either. So to Jamal's point about being reactivist, I think there's a special lane for people to be leaders and there's a special lane for people to be followers, and you need both in order to get to the next thing. So as for me in this house over here, I have no shame saying I don't necessarily think I fall under the activist title. I think I am definitely more of a reactivist because you need people behind you to continue to push what you already started. Hashtag good trouble. John Lewis had to put himself out in the forefront for us to get to even the century we're in now, the time that we're in now, to use the hashtag good trouble. There had to be somebody to start it.
Yeah, I'd love to add on too, and just kind of say that, you know, I hope that activism, some of that is also like small scale. Like I come from a media and advertising background, so I always think about the quality over quantity. Are we shouting, or are we having like a really engaging thing? So part of me hopes, because this is where I try to, you know, step up and say something here and there, is like I hope that activism also can be on like a one-on-one situation, or just being willing to have a conversation and listening to someone else and engaging them and trying to get that dialogue open. I think if you look at our politics as a great example of, you know, there's probably a lot of good people voting on the other side who have taken a stance that is very narrow-minded, and they're not open to conversations. And some of that is because people on the other side aren't open to conversations either. We align, we stick our feet in the ground, and we don't move. And I think part of activism is being willing to challenge the norm, being willing to stand up to, you know, even if it's just during a cab ride and someone says it's something inappropriate, of just finding a way to have a civil conversation and challenge the thought of it. Like, I don't know, maybe this doesn't make sense to you, but having just moved out of New York City and moved an hour south to the beach, I'm in the land of conservatives. So I feel like I'm constantly bumping into a Trumper. And so I've taken it upon myself to just like not have a fight, but have a little like, you know, do you think that that piece of information you're sharing is actually real? Do you, you know, where'd you get it from? Why do you hate, you know, this side so much, you know, because they're doing X, Y, and Z. So I just hope that part of activism too is just us taking the opportunity on the big scale to get out and, you know, be active in the community, but also on the small scale of whether it's your neighbor, whether it's someone in your family, like listening to them, but also trying to have more civil conversations so that we can all be on each other's side instead of one side of the political spectrum or another.
Woo. All right, Ryan, dropping the mic on the brown green. It's only a pity we don't have more time, because y'all just really, you know, exemplified what we're looking for here with actually curious in this dialogue. All right, so you made my job harder, but also more fun, because we're low on time. The rest of the program just got blown up, and I'm sweating, and that tells me that there's this combination of joy and fear. And so now I'm gonna give that to you guys. So what we're gonna do is just like a speed round on the yellow card question. Don't show it yet. Don't show it yet. Ah, okay. All right, you've seen it. All right. So we're just gonna go around. Just you know, don't overthink it and answer this question. I'm gonna begin. Imagine yourself in the future. What will your greatest life accomplishment be? Michael, currently in Boston, heading back to New York shortly. My greatest accomplishment will be creating a ripple effect of empathy. That's what I got. Everyone, right. Just one quick response.
Megan, Los Angeles. My greatest accomplishment will be healing by example.
Ryan, I'll just say I've been blessed to have a lot of, you know, great things happen to me and great people come in my life. And so my greatest accomplishment will be returning that favor and putting the same back out in the world.
Jamal?
Anissa,
Anissa.
yeah, sorry. Anissa, I'm in
Okay.
Atlanta. I feel like my greatest accomplishment will be creating spaces for people to connect the dots with one another, specifically in music and entertainment.
Cool. Jamal, in Brooklyn, New York. My greatest accomplishment in life will be family.
Deborah, also in Brooklyn. I'm struggling between two, so I'm going to say them both. One is being able to share people's stories in a large platform, including Michael's, and also hopefully raising, also family side, raising a kid who will have empathy and be a good person, which is a big challenge.
Liana, New York City. I want to spearhead the movement for phone-free experiences, and also helping people connect and have a healthy relationship to technology and themselves.
Thank you, Liana. Chris? Okay. Who was that? Who was that? I heard a voice. Let's hear it. Chris, you wait.
Okay.
So, Juliette, I'm from France, Paris, and I would say my greatest accomplishment in life would be if everyone that crossed pathways could realize their greatest strengths and why they're here on Earth, and that I could help them realize their greatest goal, focusing on who they really are and how to get there, focusing on just their core abilities, it would be my greatest accomplishment.
All right, Chris, thank you for your patience, sir.
No, thank you. I've been very quiet this session. I've been practicing more active listening, and y'all are way smarter than me, so I learned a shit ton. So thank you for all your gems of knowledge, taking them to heart. I'm a new father, about to be a father of 2 in a few months. I had a hard couple of months. My dad just passed. I've been learning so much about myself, and in the future, I really hope that I can be the tissue that connects folks around the world and communities to have more equal and just places to live. I happen to work in the media world myself in the local media side, so I've been seeing it happen in Miami and other cities slowly but surely, and I have a lot of faith for our future ahead of us and our children. So hopefully I can be that father of change.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
No, Fatu?
Yeah, Fatu, Philadelphia. I think that my greatest accomplishment will be creating safe spaces for people to show up as they are. Yeah, and to really just feel like they're in environments that are speaking to them.
All right, Preeta?
Hi, Preeta in Brooklyn. I am also going to do two-pronged. Jamal, family really resonated with me. And I'd also say that, you know, independently, I'd love to be somebody who connects people across differences that can be polarizing, and do so in an empathetic and effective way.
Okay, I guess that leaves Isa and Morgan.
I can go. Isa in Germany.
Morgan jump
right now. And I don't really have anything specific, but I would say living a life of purpose and with impact on other people, and fostering understanding through empathy. That's my biggest
Thank you. Thank you, Morgan.
You want me to go? Hi, everyone. Morgan, I am in Chicago. Mine is very similar to Deborah's. I would say telling meaningful stories. I work in public relations and I work with all purpose-driven entrepreneurs. So to help tell meaningful stories and support nonprofit work that's really doing some good in the world will be my greatest accomplishment.
Amazing. Well done, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause. You were on the hot seat, you survived. Yeah, basically, I mean, we only have a few more minutes here. The section that totally got obliterated by this meaningful conversation was gonna be an open forum. The prompt, we can do a quick, like 1 minute, like anyone have any, just anything that didn't get, prompted here that you wanna share, a question you wanna ask, a reaction, help that you want to offer to the community or help you want to ask for, now is a great time to do it. For me, I'd say I'll ask for some support, which is, and I'll double down on that ask at the end with the last slide, but it's, this is an experiment. These events, we're just remixing different ways of connecting people. We've all been socially distanced, and we think, we can have some fun ways using the cards to connect folks. So we have 3 more events at the end of, at the end of the week, every week in October. They're called empathy workouts, where we're going to have actually Fatu will be with us, and the founder of Transparent Black Girl and Transparent and Black will be speaking. Megan Lee Joy led off, but she'll be with us for most of them as my co-host. Who else on this call? Juliet, obviously, her organization Birdie, which promotes self-awareness and deep understanding and encourages people to connect through those, will be with us for a few of them as well. So my ask is that you put it on your calendar, show up if you can, get your workout Sundays at 2. I'll shut up.
My offer is if any of your initiatives or brands or you as an individual need support with social media marketing, content creation, or producing media in any way, shape, or form, I am here for you. And my ask is I have a television show that will hopefully support a whole generation of young people in knowing themselves and being okay living their own lives. So if anybody knows someone who's seeking digital content, I got a great show for you guys.
I'll just share that I'm a journalist. I don't really do videos, but if anyone has a story that they want to share in print, you should feel free to get in touch with me. I'll put my email in the chat right now. I'm always looking for new and interesting stories, so feel free to connect.
All right. Last call for vulnerability. As the church bells ring in my background. All right, well, thank you all for just the generosity, sharing your Wednesday morning with me, with the Actually Curious community. As we mentioned, we have 3 more events. If you follow Actually Curious, you'll see us promoting them. But we also encourage you to follow Shift. We'll be with the founder of Shift World. The topic will be empowering ourselves to empower others. It will be a workout that helps us get into that as well. On the 18th, we'll be joined by Transparent and Black the topic there will be more healing spaces for the Black community, which we're super stoked. Am I allowed to say that? I'm super stoked to talk about healing trauma. I am
Yeah.
fucking stoked. And we'll close out the month with Know You, Be You, Love You with Tanisha Wood, and Juliet from Birdie will be joining us for that chat as well. So, with that, thank you all. Enjoy your Wednesday and the rest of the week, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Chris.
y'all.
Thank you, Preeta. Thank you, Anissa. Thank you, Fatu. Thank you, Issa. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Liana. Thank you, Jamal. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Juliet. And thank you, Megan. And of course, thank you, Caroline.
And thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thanks, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for making your bed, Michael.
You're trying to make the edit video. You knew that was cute, Ryan.
I didn't know there was an edit video, but I already won. I won when I answered the first question. Everything else I said made no sense. So
Not true, but also yes, you won.
You represented for all the white dudes who need empathy across.
We were all thinking the same thing.
The world.
You just threw me the right question.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you all. It was a pleasure.
Bye, y'all.
Later, Chris. Congrats, brother. Yeah.
We did
Okay.
it.